here's part 24 of my summary of the book of Exodus. Like always, God is faithful. Even after the Israelites worshipped the gold calf, he reiterates his promise to Abraham's descendants of land acquirement and the destruction of their enemies. He tells Moses to lead the people, but he says he's not going to go with them because they are a stiff-necked people and he might destroy them. Then he commands for the Israelites to be stripped of all of their adorning ornaments. They shamefully did so at Mount Horeb. And once again, Moses expresses incredible boldness to God in the name of love for God's people. He pleads with God to remember that this nation is God's people and says, if your presence does not go with us, do not send us up from here. The Lord replied to Moses, I will do the very thing you asked, because I am pleased with you, and I know you by name. Responding with even more shocking boldness, Moses then says, show me your glory. The Lord told Moses he would cause all of his goodness to pass in front of Moses, but he told Moses that he had to put him in the cleft of a rock and cover him with his hand as he passed by. That way Moses could only see his back as he lifted his hand. God said, you cannot see my face, for no one may see me and live, which is a reminder to us that until all those written in the Lamb's Book of Life come to faith in Christ and receive righteousness, we will not see God's face. We'll see it after the last trumpet sounds at the glorious event known as the Lord's Supper with his bride, the church, when the dead in him are raised imperishable and our bodies glorified for eternity. Then the Lord tells Moses to chisel out 2 new stone tablets just like the first ones and says, I will write on them the words that were on the first tablets which you broke. He tells Moses to be ready by the next morning to come up on Mount Sinai. He says no one is to come with you or even be seen anywhere near the mountain. Not even the flocks or herds may graze in front of the mountain. When Moses went up the mountain, he praised God for being slow to anger and gracious and forgiving, but also for not leaving the guilty unpunished. He bowed to the ground and worshiped the Lord. And the Lord once again reiterates his covenant and promise to his people. He tells Moses that when they get to the promised land, to not make a treaty with the people who live there, to not take on their ways or worship their false gods. He reminds Moses that they are to celebrate the festival of unleavened bread and to dedicate their firstborns to him. And Moses stayed up on Mount Sinai for another 40 days and 40 nights, this time without eating any bread or drinking any water. When Moses came back down the mountain with the 2 new stone tablets, he did not realize that his face was shining with the glory of the Lord, radiant to the point that Aaron and the Israelites were afraid to come near him. But Moses called them over and spoke to them and gave them the commands that the Lord had given him. Then Moses put a veil over his face. From then on, every time he entered the Lord's presence, he removed the veil. When he left the presence of the Lord, he would put the veil back over his face to not scare the people.